Consumer behavior in international context. We all know that consumer behavior is defined as the behavior that consumers display in searching for, purchasing, using, evaluating, and disposing of if products and services that they expect will satisfy their needs. In this lesson, we will understand consumer behavior and know its applications, the variables that affect consumer behavior, the cross-cultural influences on international marketing, the non-verbal elements in communication that affect marketing, and the concept of ethnocentricity and consumer animosity. After going through this presentation, you should be able to define consumer behavior and its application in marketing, identify the variables affecting consumer behavior, discuss the cross-cultural influences, identify cultural differences in non-verbal communication, explain consumer decision-making process, discuss ethnocentricity and animosity. Consumer behavior refers to the actions and decision processes of people who purchase goods and services for personal consumption. Marketing concept evolved in the late 1950s, and the field of consumer behavior is deeply rooted in this concept. Production orientation is based on the assumption that consumers will buy what is available and would not wait for what they really want. Product orientation, which assumes that consumers will buy the product that offers them the highest quality in terms of performance and features. Consumer behavior principles are applied in many areas of marketing. First is analyzing market opportunity. Consumer behavior study helps in identifying the unfulfilled needs and wants of consumers. This requires examining the trends and conditions operating in the marketplace, consumers' lifestyles, income levels, and emerging influences. Second is selecting target market. A review of market opportunities often helps in identifying distinct consumer segments with very distinct and unique wants and needs. Identifying these groups, learning how they behave and how they make purchase decisions, enables the marketer to design and market products or services particularly suited to their wants and needs. Third is marketing mix decisions. Consumer behavior study is very helpful in finding answers to many perplexing questions regarding product, price, distribution, and promotion. Fourth is use in social and non-profits marketing. Consumer behavior studies are useful to design marketing strategies by social, governmental, and not-for-profit organizations to make their programs. There are several variables that affect consumer behavior. First is culture, and is perhaps the most important factor influencing international consumer behavior that international marketers need to analyze. Culture is a part of the external influences that impact the consumer. The influence of subculture on consumer behavior depends on factors such as subcultural distinctiveness, subcultural homogeneity, and subcultural exclusion. Second is learning. It involves a change in the content or organization of long-term memory and/or behavior. Memory ranges in duration on a continuum from extremely short to very long term. Sensory memory includes storage of stimuli that one might not actually notice. Next is attitude. Consumer attitudes are a composite of a consumer's beliefs about feelings, about and behavioral intentions towards some object within the context of marketing, usually a brand or retail store. These components are viewed together since they are highly interdependent and together represent forces that influence how the consumer will react to the object. Next is perception. Perception is an approximation of reality. Our brain attempts to make sense out of the stimuli to which we are exposed. Next is motivation. Motivation is said to be the driving force within individuals produced by a state of tension caused by unfulfilled needs and wants. Individuals strive to reduce this tension through appropriate behavior that they expect will satisfy their needs. The theme of cultural influences in a given country has two variations. Cross-cultural influences are norms and values of consumers in foreign markets that influence strategies of multinational organizations marketing their products and services abroad. The second variation refers to subcultural influences that concern differences in values among different groups within a country that distinguish them from society as a whole. Non-verbal communications are mostly influenced by seven factors. First is the meaning of time varies between different cultures in terms of perspective and orientation. Time perspective would have a direct influence on personal selling styles and also on many advertising themes. Second is space. For example, North Americans consider South Americans to be pushy and aggressive, and South Americans view North Americans as cold, snobbish, and aloof. Third is symbols. The color of dresses that people wear on different occasions carry a meaning. If a child is wearing a pink dress, it is quite likely that we would think the child is female. In Japan, 4 is a symbol of death. Fourth is friendship. It is a non-verbal cultural variable and imposes rights and obligations. In India, consumers' personal relationship with salespeople and retail stores is often more important to be successful in the long run. Fifth is agreements. For Americans, negotiations end after a contract is signed, but in case of Russians, a signing is just the starting of serious negotiations that will continue till the project is completed. Arabs consider the verbal agreement to be final and binding, and presenting a contract for a signature can be considered offensive and insulting. Next is things. Many things carrying a symbolic having a different meaning in different cultures. The knowledge of this becomes particularly important while offering gifts. Last is etiquette. Etiquette is an accepted way of behaving in social situations. Most Western cultures view noisy eating and belching as unacceptable social behavior. Eating meals using fingers and not the knife and fork is a common behavior in India. The purchaser passes through 5 distinct stages, namely need or problem recognition, information search, alternative evaluation, purchase decision, and post-purchase behavior. A buying process starts when a consumer recognizes that there is a substantial discrepancy between his current state of satisfaction and expectations in a consumption situation. After need arousal, the behavior of the consumer leads towards collection of available information about various stimuli, various sources, for further processing and decision making. Once interest in a product is aroused, a consumer enters the subsequent stage of evaluation of alternatives, stage of purchase decision. Finally, the consumer arrives at a purchase decision. Purchase decisions can be one of the three, viz. No buying, buying later, buy now. Stage of post-purchase behavior. Post-purchase behavior refers to the behavior of a consumer after his commitment to a product has been made. It originates out of consumer experience regarding the use of the product and is indicated in terms of satisfaction. Next is ethnocentricity. The self-reference criteria refers to the tendency of individuals, often unconsciously, to use the standards of one's own culture to evaluate others. It should be noted that there is a tendency of outsiders to a culture to overstate the similarity of members of that culture to each other. Consumer animosity as anger related to previous or ongoing political, military, economic, or diplomatic events. Consumer animosity refers to a study of the impact of anger and negative attitudes between nations or regions upon consumer trends and habits. Now let us check if we have understood the various concepts discussed in this lesson clearly. The process of learning values, beliefs, language, demographics of a new country is known as self-reference. Right or wrong? Wrong. Need arousal means that a consumer's decision to commit to a full or further use of product. Right or wrong? Wrong. People in Mexico earlier did not prefer to buy American products. This type of behavior is known as consumer animosity. Right or wrong? Right. Before we end, let us briefly revise what we have studied till now. The consumer-oriented marketing approach came to be called as the marketing concept. The important assumption underlying marketing concept is that a company must determine the needs and wants of its target markets and deliver the desired satisfactions more efficiently and effectively than the competition. This is the key to successful marketing. Consumer behavior activities can help unearth much information to help marketeers to segment markets, selection of the target segments, developing the positional strategy, and develop appropriate marketing mixes for different markets. Culture has been defined as the complex whole that includes knowledge, belief, art, and habits acquired by humans as members of the society. Culture is a mirror of both values and possessions of its members. Apart from culture, subcultures and groups, perception, motivation, learning, memory, and attitude of an individual also influences his behavior. Cross-cultural influences are norms and values of consumers in foreign markets that influence strategies of multinational companies marketing their products and services abroad. Consumer decision-making process involves 5 steps, namely need recognition, information search, evaluation of alternatives, purchase and post-purchase evaluation.